The sky above Nova Terra burned a muted violet as the planet's twin suns dipped below the horizon. Across the sprawling metropolis, lights flickered on in synchronized harmony, casting long, sharp shadows over the angular towers and terrace habitats. In one of the tallest buildings, the Interstellar Council's Human Command Center hummed with quiet urgency. Dr. Evelyn Kade leaned over a holographic console, her fingers dancing across translucent keys with practiced precision. Lines of code, cascading like liquid light, scrolled across the interface. She paused, tracing a particular sequence of quantum signals that had appeared out of nowhere, signals that didn't fit any known pattern. "They're here," she muttered under her breath. Captain Rian Voss, standing behind her with arms crossed, raised an eyebrow. "Who's here?" "The Coalition," Evelyn said, her voice low, sharp. "They've deployed a new kind of disruptor. It's subtle, but devastating if we don't counter it." She tapped the console. "It's targeted at our communication relays, our supply networks, even the AI systems coordinating colony defenses. If they succeed, millions of lives are at risk." Voss's jaw tightened. "So they're not negotiating. They're testing us." Evelyn didn't answer immediately. Instead, she pulled up a holographic map of the Andros Cluster, marking human colonies with blue beacons and alien fleets with red streaks. A subtle pattern emerged. Predicted trajectories, gaps in alien surveillance, and weak points in their logistics network. Evelyn's eyes gleamed with quiet satisfaction. "Not just testing," she said finally. "They're overconfident. They think we can't see their plan. That's their mistake." Voss shook his head. "I don't like relying on hope." Evelyn smirked. "This isn't hope. It's calculation. And humans, we're very good at calculation when the stakes are life or death." 2 hours later, the council convened an emergency session. Diplomats, engineers, and military officers crowded into a circular chamber, the walls pulsing with soft ambient light. Evelyn took the central podium, her gaze sweeping across familiar faces. "We have intercepted an advanced quantum disruption protocol," she began. "The aliens intend to sabotage our colonies through precise, targeted interference. It's designed to cripple infrastructure without immediate detection. If deployed, it could cause mass casualties and irreversible damage." A murmur rippled through the room. Dr. Celine Mara, seated at a nearby console, added, "We've already begun isolating affected nodes and rerouting key systems. But this is only a temporary measure. The Coalition has access to AI-driven tactics far beyond our current projections." Voss leaned forward. "So what's the plan? We can't just sit here waiting for them to strike." Evelyn's fingers hovered over a console. "We won't. We're not going to fight them head-on. That's their strength. Their confidence lies in direct superiority, firepower, surveillance, speed. Humans aren't faster or stronger, but we're unpredictable, and that unpredictability is our weapon." She paused, letting her words settle. "We'll feed them calculated misinformation. We'll manipulate their perception of human strategy. And when they overextend, we'll be ready." Voss's expression hardened. "You're suggesting a bluff? Against the entire coalition?" Evelyn's eyes met his. "Not just a bluff. A gambit. A precise, multi-layered gambit designed to make them think we're on the brink of collapse when, in reality, we're controlling the board." Later that evening, Evelyn stood on a balcony overlooking Nova Terra's cityscape. The twin moons rose, casting silver reflections on the glass spires. She reviewed her team's progress remotely. Celine had successfully embedded decoy signals in colony AI networks. Small reconnaissance drones were transmitting fabricated logistical data. Human diplomats were subtly nudging alien envoys into overconfidence during preliminary talks. "You're calm," Voss remarked, joining her on the balcony, "even knowing the Coalition could destroy us at a moment's notice." "Calm," Evelyn said with a faint smile. "I wouldn't call it calm. Focused, maybe. Humans have survived countless threats throughout history, often from opponents who underestimated us. The Coalition doesn't know what it's facing." Voss shook his head, half in disbelief, half admiration. "You really think they'll fall for it?" "They already are," Evelyn replied. "Arrogance makes them predictable, and we've learned to read patterns they themselves don't see." She paused, eyes narrowing on the distant glint of alien satellites in orbit. It's a dangerous game, but we don't play by their rules. We play by ours. Night fell completely, and the city lights flickered against the encroaching darkness. In the command center, Evelyn returned to her console. A sequence of encrypted messages scrolled across her display, each more convoluted than the last. Every anomaly she detected was a thread she could pull, a crack in the Coalition's armor. Dr. Kade. Celine's voice called over the intercom. I've completed the decoy simulations. They're running perfectly on 3 colonies now. The aliens' reconnaissance drones have already started picking up false data. Evelyn's lips curved into a small, satisfied smile. Excellent. Keep monitoring. Every move we make, they'll think it's desperation. And every move they make will anticipate. Voss appeared behind her again. You realize this could all blow up if one of their calculations catches on? Which is why we've layered contingencies. Evelyn said, humans are good at adapting. That's something even the most advanced AI can't fully account for. Creativity, intuition, moral calculation. The Coalition may have technology, but we have strategy, and that's where we will outmaneuver them. The hum of the command center faded into the background as Evelyn studied the Andros Cluster map one last time before night ended. The pattern of alien deployment glimmered in red streaks across the holographic display. They think they're hunting prey, she whispered to herself. They don't realize the hunter is already inside their minds. A distant alarm sounded. Routine surveillance, nothing immediate, but Evelyn barely flinched. Every signal was data, every anomaly a clue. Humanity wasn't just surviving, they were planning. And for the first time, she allowed herself a thought she would never speak aloud. The Coalition had no idea what was coming. The orbital station above Xylar Prime gleamed like a shard of ice against the blackness of space. Its spires pierced the void, humming with alien energy fields that pulsed with a rhythm humans found unsettlingly precise. The Coalition had spared no detail in crafting an environment that screamed superiority. Every corridor was sleek, cold, and intimidating, reflecting their philosophy. Control and order above all else. Dr. Evelyn Kade stepped off the docking shuttle, flanked by Captain Rian Voss and the human delegation. She scanned the alien assembly hall from a distance before entering. Massive crystalline walls refracted light into dizzying patterns, casting shadows that seemed almost alive. At the far end, Lord Xylar Vethar waited. Seated on a hovering platform, his elongated limbs folded with deliberate composure. His gaze swept over the humans, sharp, calculating, dismissive. "Welcome, humans," Xylar intoned, his voice low and resonant, vibrating with an authority that sought to unnerve. "You stand here today as equals, though I doubt you feel it." Evelyn stepped forward, voice calm, steady. "We appreciate the invitation, Chancellor. We come in good faith, as you requested." Vethar's eyes flicked toward her, narrowing. "Good faith or naivety? Your species is yet to prove itself capable of complex strategy. We will see if appearances deceive." The delegation exchanged tense glances. Evelyn ignored the sting, focusing instead on subtle signs. Eye twitches, micro-gestures, deviations in posture. Alien psychology might be alien, but patterns existed. They were predictable, and she intended to exploit that. The first hour of a meeting involved the usual formalities, the exchange of pleasantries, grandiose declarations of cooperation, and calculated assessments of each other's technological capabilities. The aliens flaunted their superiority, detailing quantum energy fields, orbital defense grids, and AI-driven tactical networks. Evelyn listened carefully, noting the subtle arrogance. Every statement was a thread she could manipulate. During a break, she turned to Voss and Mara in a private observation bay. Holographic screens displayed real-time readings of the alien systems. "They're testing us," Evelyn said, tracing a faint anomaly. "This is not a negotiation. It's reconnaissance. Every word, every movement is data to them. But here's the interesting part. They underestimate human improvisation." Voss frowned. Improvisation doesn't win wars against an entire coalition. Evelyn's gaze didn't leave the hologram. Not alone, but combined with deception, psychology, and AI-assisted predictions, we can control their perception of us. We can make them believe we have contingencies that don't exist. Mara tilted her head. You mean trick them into overextending? Exactly. Evelyn's fingers danced over the console, overlaying projected alien movements with hypothetical human responses. The coalition is structured, linear, relying on direct calculations. If we introduce anomalies they cannot predict, they'll act out of fear or arrogance. Either way, they reveal weaknesses. Voss shook his head. You really trust this will work? Trust. Evelyn's lips curved into a faint, dry smile. No, I calculate probabilities. And right now, the odds favor us if we execute precisely. Back in the assembly hall, Evelyn began the first phase of their plan. Small inconsistencies were planted in human communications. Subtle misalignments in fleet positions, falsified supply manifests, and encrypted messages hinting at hidden weaponry. Alien sensors picked up each anomaly, feeding back into their analytical AI. The coalition began adjusting tactics, reacting to information that did not exist. Xylar Vethar noticed almost immediately. Your fleet movement's irregular, he said, scanning a holographic display of human positions. Explain this deviation. Evelyn's response was measured, casual. We've adapted our formations to optimize for potential threats. Nothing more. Vethar's eyes narrowed. Potential threats or hidden weapons? Perhaps both, Evelyn replied smoothly, maintaining eye contact. We prioritize readiness. The subtle ambiguity planted seeds of doubt. Xylar Vethar's counselors whispered among themselves, their usual composure faltering. Hours later, Evelyn and Mara retreated to the observation bay to assess the results. They're recalculating, Mara noted. Their AI is trying to predict human intentions, but the anomalies keep shifting the model. Evelyn nodded. Every adjustment they make forces them deeper into a labyrinth of possibilities. By the time they realize the patterns are false, we will already have secured the strategic advantage. Voss shook his head in awe. It's audacious. I still don't like relying on illusions. Evelyn turned to him, voice low but firm. This isn't illusions, Captain. It's control perception. The coalition believes they are ahead, but the entire scenario is orchestrated. Humans thrive in ambiguity. Aliens cannot. That's the edge. A sudden alert flashed across Evelyn's console. The first covert attempt to activate the quantum disruptor had begun. Mara's eyes widened. They're moving faster than expected, she said. Evelyn's hands didn't hesitate. Let them. Every move accelerates their exposure to our countermeasures. The disruptor is active, but our decoy systems are already feeding false feedback. They're wasting energy on simulations that don't exist. From the observation bay, they watched the alien fleets twitch unpredictably, shifting formations in response to false data. Every movement was anticipated, every adjustment subtly manipulated. This is working, Mara whispered, almost in disbelief. Evelyn's focus didn't waver. It has to work. If even one anomaly fails, the entire perception pyramid collapses. But so far it's perfect. As night deepened over Xypher Prime, Evelyn returned to the assembly hall for the final phase of the day. Xylar Vethar's gaze lingered on her longer than before. The subtle panic in his demeanor was invisible to most humans, but Evelyn saw it clearly, the cracks forming in alien confidence. Dr. Kade, Vethar said, voice edged with irritation. Your species claims readiness, yet we see inconsistencies, errors, unpredictability. Either you are reckless or you are hiding something. Evelyn tilted her head, expression neutral. Perhaps both, Chancellor. But one thing is certain. Humans are always ready to adapt. We learn quickly, improvise when necessary, and exploit every opportunity. A silence followed, heavy and charged. The delegation could feel the shift, the first sign of unease among the alien leaders. Evelyn stepped back, letting her words linger. This was the moment she had been orchestrating. The subtle placement of false data, the careful manipulation of perception, and the observation of microreactions, all converging into the beginning of a strategic advantage humans had been building unseen. She allowed herself a small, private thought as she left the hall. They think they are playing a game of strength. They have no idea we are already playing a game of minds. The void beyond Nova Terra shimmered with a faint cobalt glow as a human fleet aligned silently in orbit. Each ship was a testament to human engineering. Smaller, seemingly fragile, but equipped with modular AI systems and adaptive shields that allowed them to anticipate movements far beyond their size. Evelyn Kade stood on the bridge of the command flagship Aegis, watching the holographic projections of alien fleet movements. "They've committed to the disruptor activation," Evelyn said, fingers tracing projected energy signatures. "They believe they have us cornered. Every calculation they make is based on our deception." Captain Voss leaned over her shoulder, scanning the data. "You're saying they'll react to things that aren't even happening?" "Exactly," Evelyn replied. "We've made them think we're vulnerable, desperate, and unpredictable, but it's all staged. Every move they make, every resource they commit, it's feeding into the exact trap we've designed." A soft alert blinked on her console. Alien reconnaissance drones were now converging on Aegis. "They're scouting us," Mara said, standing beside Evelyn. "They'll see the decoy fleet patterns first. Our holographic projections are ready, but any real inspection could reveal the truth." Evelyn's gaze didn't leave the display. "They'll see what we want them to see. The simulations are synchronized with our fleet's minor movements. Every misalignment is deliberate. They'll overestimate our power where there is none and underestimate it where it truly counts." Minutes later, the Coalition's fleet shifted, responding to the false intelligence. Red streaks glinted across the projection screens as alien capital ships altered course, diverting key assets to areas where human presence was only an illusion. Evelyn's lips curved into a small, satisfied smile. Voss's voice was tight with tension. "They're falling for it. All of it. Patience," Evelyn said. "The real test is whether they can adapt once the Gambit is revealed. Humans don't just react. We anticipate. That's the edge the Coalition lacks." The first phase of the Gambit began. Using synchronized AI simulations, Evelyn orchestrated phantom fleets, fake energy surges, and fabricated tactical communications. Coalition ships detected anomalies and scrambled to counter them, misallocating firepower and diverting forces from the actual human strongholds. In the main hall of the alien command station, Lord Xylar Vethar watched reports stream in from his AI network. His expression stiffened as his calculations repeatedly failed to match observations. "Impossible," he hissed, the alien syllables cutting sharp through the hall. "Our models cannot account for these deviations. How can humans anticipate?" His counselors shifted nervously, unsure whether to report dissent or remain silent. The cracks in the Coalition's confidence widened with every update. Evelyn initiated the next phase, direct psychological manipulation. Using encrypted communications disguised as intercepted human chatter, she fed selective information suggesting hidden weapons, secret fleet deployments, and imminent counterattacks. The Coalition's AI processed the data, concluding that humans possess capabilities far beyond their actual strength. Vethar's voice, carried through the communication grid, was taut. "Dr. Kade, your species possesses resources we cannot confirm. Are you threatening us?" Evelyn's calm reply resonated through the relay. "Not threatening, Chancellor, merely demonstrating preparedness. Humanity has always survived by understanding its opponents, anticipating their moves, and adapting faster than they expect. That's all." The alien fleet wavered. Strategic positions shifted. Units diverted from offensive operations to defensive postures. Every false signal had pulled them deeper into a trap of their own making. On Aegis, Evelyn monitored the final stage of the plan. The reveal. "Phase 3 is ready," Mara said. "We've embedded the last decoy simulations, and the Coalition's own calculations are now guiding them directly into our projected zones." Voss exhaled, tension coiling in his shoulders. "This is it. One wrong move." Evelyn's voice was steady. "No wrong moves. We prepared contingencies for every deviation. Even if they suspect, the Gambit only succeeds if they act on it." The first reaction came moments later. Coalition Command reported a sudden shift in their fleet alignment. Capital ships withdrawing from human colonies they intended to target. Panic rippled through the alien ranks as conflicting signals and false intelligence created chaos. Vethar's voice roared across the communications network. Stand down! Stand down! We cannot risk this unknown. Evelyn's eyes sparkled. She did not celebrate, only observed, analyzing each ripple, each hesitation, each error in alien judgment. Humans had not fired a single shot, yet they controlled the battlefield completely. Hours later, the coalition formally requested negotiations, citing the perceived human advantage. Evelyn stepped onto the holographic bridge, projecting confidence. You admit to the error? Vethar demanded, voice trembling slightly. No error, Evelyn said smoothly. Just adaptation. You calculated outcomes based on your assumptions of human capability. That was your miscalculation. We think differently. We anticipate differently. That is the difference. The room was silent. Alien counselors exchanging uncertain glances. Human delegations remained calm, poised, watching as the once imposing adversaries retreated from their aggressive posture. Voss finally allowed himself a breath. You did it. They believe we have weapons we don't even possess. Evelyn didn't answer immediately, eyes scanning the holographic displays. No, they've overextended themselves. They've revealed the limits of their assumptions. They've fallen for a strategy rooted in perception, calculation, and human ingenuity. That is the victory. Later, on the observation deck of Nova Terra, Evelyn gazed at the stars, the distant red and blue streaks of human and alien fleets shimmering in orbit. We've proven something, Mara said quietly, joining her, that even when outmatched technologically, humans can control the outcome. Evelyn nodded, her gaze distant. It's not just survival, it's recognition. For centuries, humanity has been underestimated. Today, we've shown that intellect, adaptability, and strategy matter as much as strength. That's the message we send across the galaxy. Underestimate humanity at your peril. Voss joined them, arms folded, a rare smile breaking through his usual stoicism. And we did it without firing a single shot. Exactly, Evelyn said. We fought with minds, with precision, and with the courage to outthink an entire civilization. That is what defines us. That is humanity. Above them, the stars stretched endlessly, indifferent yet bearing witness to human triumph. In the vast silence of space, Evelyn allowed herself a small, private satisfaction. The coalition had underestimated humanity, and in doing so, they had revealed their own vulnerability. She turned back toward the command center, already thinking ahead. The Gambit had succeeded, but the galaxy was vast, and the lessons of today were only the beginning. Humans had survived, outmaneuvered, and risen, not through raw power, but through intellect, foresight, and courage. And somewhere across the void, she knew the coalition would be recalculating, learning a hard truth. Humanity could not be predicted. They could never be controlled.